Saturday.
Call this meeting to order at 5:30.
What would you count?
Council at-large Boots.
Here.
At-large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And number 3 McNeil.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing there is none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Boots with first. And Anderson with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, so now to the unscheduled communications. If you'd like to address the city council, please make your way to the podium. Yes. Yes.
Mary Swan, 1110 Plum Street. I have a question, Mayor, about the old Legion building. And I think I heard somebody say it would cost $14,000 to demolish. Is that right?
That was the estimate.
Yeah, that's the off the cuff
But it
estimate.
has asbestos in it.
No.
There may be. It has to be treated as though it is. And the
I
assumption,
thought you knew it had asbestos.
you start with an assumption that it does because of the age of the building.
Because I'm thinking you're probably looking at $100,000 to get the asbestos removed. You know, those guys come in their moon suits.
I know, but it's not that much.
It isn't. Well, I've always heard it's just gas figures.
It certainly can be, but in my experience in buildings this size, the asbestos alone would be around $5,000, and you have to sort of balance out whether you just tear the whole building down under asbestos management practices and haul the entirety off to the higher priced garbage landfill as opposed to separating it out and going through that process. But no, the estimate was for assuming that there was the usual amount of asbestos tile and what have you in it.
I didn't know that you could just tear it down with it in there. I thought it had to be removed.
You can tear the entire building, an entire structure down, but you have to be willing to take all of it to that cell at the landfill that's specially sealed over. So it costs you a little more to do that, but the overall cost of not having to remove tile and what have you out of it is usually offset by just dumping it.
I'd sure like the council to think about that for a long, long time. I would just hate to see that torn down.
One of the
Myself included, yeah. It's a good old building.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing there's no one else for the unscheduled portion, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which can be enacted with one motion, and they consist of the City Council special meeting minutes on March 20th, the council meeting minutes from the March 27th, and a liquor license approval for Monty's Pizza.
Mayor, I would ask that the minutes for the 27th be amended. In the part where I spoke about Sudco and Jason Camp with home-based Iowa, it says in there that he introduced a affordable housing to Cedar County for veterans and their families, and that is not correct. He just gave a program on the home-based Iowa, so I would ask that he end it just that he was a guest speaker and strike the rest of that.
All right. Anything else? Well, then with that change, is there a motion to approve these?
So moved.
Spear with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, so now moving on to the letter H, which is ordinance approval and amendment. This will be the third and final reading of the amendment. Mr. Wong?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is limiting the ability to use corrugated stainless steel tubing for residential gas supply to residences that have the lower gas pressure. This is be the third and final reading, and Virgil, anything to add?
That's just, you can't go above the standard pressure.
Okay. That's all I have there.
All right. Then that puts that to rest.
It does.
All right. All right, so now moving on to the
We
mayor.
don't,
Oh, wait, sorry.
we don't vote on it.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. There, I've been sick for the past 2 weeks. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Leaper with the first and McNeil with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
All right, so that ordinance has been amended. Now down to the mayoral proclamation. This is regarding Earth Day, April 22nd, 2017. And it is read as, whereas the first Earth Day was established as a national event on April 22nd, 1970, and was widely credited with having established a greater consciousness of the importance of clean air, water, and a healthy planet, and whereas Earth Day is now recognized and celebrated in 141 countries, reportedly the largest civic observance in the world, and whereas the people of Tipton and Cedar County, Iowa, who enjoy the healthy environment of our community, recognize that the nurturing of our families and businesses starts with taking care of those natural resources, and our city council and staff take seriously the responsibility of clean air and water, and whereas we as representatives of this city wish to share and pass along the well-being of this attractive Iowa community to our children and grandchildren, and whereas the mayor and city council of the city of Tipton and the city's personnel support Earth Day 2017 and are celebrating it with the Earth Day Bike Ride with the Mayor event on April 22nd, beginning at 10 a.m. at the courthouse, Cedar County Courthouse. Now, therefore, be proclaimed by myself and on behalf of the City Council that the Council does acknowledge Earth Day on Saturday, April 26th, 2017. All right. So now, moving down to motions for approval. The first one, the claims list. Are there any claims that you guys want to pull out and talk about? Seeing there is none, is there a motion to approve the claims list? Anderson with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
All right, so the claims list is passed. Now, the consideration of the Economic Development Office is something that we'd have to move off the table, so if someone would move for that. McNeil with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots, Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
All right, so now that that is off the table, so now we go to the discussion of it. Ms. Beck, come on up.
Thank you. And actually, I would like to invite Tamara Roberts. She's the president of Chamber and also is on the TEDCO board. So all three entities, you will be, everybody will be involved with this. Well, I collected data, and we had our tour last week. And so I have everything in front of you, and Tamara, if you want to visit for a minute.
Sure. I don't have much on the specs. If you have questions about that, Linda will be the person to go to. But I serve on the Development Commission, which is kind of the boss of Linda, made up of 3 different entities, if you didn't know that. The City Council is 1/3 of those entities. The other 2 is TEDCO and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, and it looks like our president isn't here for TEDCO. I'm also the secretary on that board, and I'm familiar with the votes. We heard that City Council might be considering the relocation of Linda's office tonight, and I think that both of all 3 of the boards I serve on do have a lot of input they want to give to you. As chamber president, we took the vote this week and it was unanimous. No one voted for a different property. Several people have toured all the properties and others have toured them kind of twice now. We've been through and put a lot of consideration into it. We would like for Linda's office to be relocated for a few reasons. One is that we kind of worried that she doesn't have a way out the back, and the office is pretty dated. And what we're looking for as a chamber is the face of Tipton when we have new potential businesses coming in, or even people looking to expand in town. We want Linda's office to be something that we can be proud of, and it looks like Tipton is looking forward instead of being in the 1970s, which is kind of what the decor is down there. The options for different properties, we looked at them all, and I don't, are they familiar with all of the
Yes.
options?
Yes, every council member went on the tour, and our mayor also went on the tour. Yes.
I can tell you, our boards were strongly against taking Linda off of Main Street, off of Cedar Street. But although I think we would even consider some of the side streets, but not back to the building that you had talked about, maybe remodeling. We think that would be detrimental, because Linda's always uptown, she's always helping businesses. I think she gets a lot of input from businesses when things need to be done, just because we see her out and about and she's always checking in. Also, just as a person, I've visited lots of towns before, and when we go to town and we need some information about the town, I look for the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm afraid if it's not downtown and it was a block and a half off the downtown, it would be difficult to find, or people just wouldn't stop. As for the other properties, I think they have a lot to offer. A couple of the properties are brand spanking new, remodeled, and that would be great, because I think that would give us that look that we're looking for, showing that Tipton is a forward-moving town. Some of the other properties, I think that all the other properties are actually preferable than the one she's in now. However, some of them do have some space constraints. Chamber, we have things to store, different decorations, a lot of it is, and we do have other things that we need storage for. So we're probably looking for an office like the NBC properties can provide, and we're also worried about rent too. We don't have a lot of money, Chamber, despite what people might think. We worked hard to try to get our income up, but we only have limited resources. So with those two things in mind, we've all voted for the NBC properties for the Chamber, on behalf of the Chamber. I did see the votes from TEDCO, they were all the same. Everyone who's a board member on TEDCO also, and there were a couple that had to abstain from the vote because they were one of the owners in the properties. But all the voting members voted also for the NBC properties. They're also paying 1/3 of the rent. We're paying 1/3 of the rent. So the decision isn't solely on this council's shoulders, but we would ask for you to take into consideration that we'd like to work together and choose a property with as a group. And I feel like that maybe we haven't been doing that. If you have any questions, you certainly could ask us, but I think that would be the best property for the other two entities so far. And the Development Commission recommended that property months ago, when the council then kind of took a turn to look into the other property that you already have, so.
How about any questions for me?
I don't know that I have a question, but I would just like to put out there, in touring the businesses, I too believe NBC was a nice property. However, I hesitate on the $675 for 10 years, in light of the fact that we are looking here very soon to try and get a new manager into Tipton. We plan to have a goal-setting session very soon after that and try to get all of our ducks in a row and see where we're moving. And I don't know that I wouldn't like this decision to be a part of that too, because I'm sure we're going to be looking at that building that we want to redo. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and get tied into a 10-year contract and then decide, oh, hey, we have this other option. City manager might bring new ideas in to that goal-setting session and be able to lead us, down a path that everything's going to flow. That's just my thought at this point.
I completely understand that, and that's obviously something that we have to worry about too, because we don't know what our finances are going to be in 10 years. However, we kind of saw it as a way to lock in a price too. I don't know what the going rate will be for that building in the future, and so given their reduction since the original rates were given to us, I think the Chamber also sees that as a positive, the length of it, because we'd be tied in at a certain price.
Have we had any discussion on what kind of cancellation?
That would have to
Penalty
be
or-
determined by the TEDCO, Chamber, Council, and NBC properties.
So we wouldn't know that ahead of time before deciding on them. I think that would matter in my decision.
to cancel a contract, a new contract.
Right, if in 3 years
I-
or 5 years, we had
I can't tell you
something.
what, I don't know what it would be.
That's the only drawback that I see is locking into a 10-year contract. We don't need that. We need something that's less constricting.
Well, I think why the 10 years was locked in is because the price is $675, and if you can see with the other properties, you don't have that at all. You have 2% every year, or every 2 years, $10 if it's a 5-year, and that's the only one that was locked in for 10 years. The current property I'm in, Tipton Economic Development was there already 10 years. And I think we've been talking about this for 8 months or more. So another 8 months. The only reason why this even came up is because of safety. And I have a safety concern. I'm the only one in that office, and I have no way to get out except the front door. And I'm hoping eventually we can get a decision because I'm still in an office I can't get out of. And that concerns me.
Price difference if we did two-year terms like everybody else?
I can ask, I can call. If you want a decision right now, I can call. You know, I don't know.
You're part of chamber, aren't you?
Can I ask why you're so scared about the 10 years? Do you think her position's not gonna be there in 10 years?
That's not it.
Okay,
It's the
then-
length of the contract, the 10-year contract locked in. No chance, there's nothing that I saw that there's a possibility that we can get out of it in 2 years if we find a better place for her to go.
The Legion building, my only concern is the square footage there. The square, and Tim and I have visited about this too. The square footage is very limited for me, and you have all been in my office, and I have a lot of stuff, and I do not have the space. There's things I can't take to the basement, and I have to have some space to take things.
What's their early termination provision? What's that read?
Well, that, I
That's the
asked, you know,
question.
what it would be. I said, can I put that in here? Because I knew the concern was 10-year lease. And I talked to Mark about that, and he says, yes, we could write a provision if that's what you want. It's kind of like cable TV. If you have direct TV and you want to go to Dish and you still have a year contract, guess what happens? You have to pay to get out of it. And so I don't know, you know, for lack of a better example, that's why I'm giving that one. I have nothing against direct or Dish TV. I just want that for the record.
If you choose to remodel your existing building too, we're a little bit concerned about what our terms of rent are going to be as TEDCO and Chamber. Is the city not going to charge us anything, or do we need to start contributing rent toward that? And given the price of the remodel, we were a little bit worried about what the rent would come out to be, because the cost of that remodel will be more than the other 2 remodels where the rent is already higher than what we're paying.
I will tell you at this point, I'm really not looking to put Linda in that building, because I think if we do anything with that building, it's gonna be over time. We're not gonna just fork out the $140,000 to do it right now. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's why I guess I'm wanting to wait until the new city manager comes on board, so we can get that all figured out. You know, how these things are all gonna proceed together. And I know there's an urgency in getting another
Well,
office, I understand that. But I think a couple months, you know, is it okay? I mean, if we bring a new person on board, see what ideas they have, do a goal setting, get this all incorporated in and do it that way. I do think NBC is the best offer. I've seen the building. I think it could be great.
I don't know, and I can't speak for NBC. I don't know if they'll wait 2 months. So that's something you have to consider as well. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know, you know, we've already been spinning our wheels, and I don't know if they financially can wait 2 more months for us all to make a decision.
Would be, you know, if we see in this goal setting session that, yeah, this 10-year option is gonna be a great, you know, it's gonna fit into our plan well, then, you know, I think we can just put all these maybes and ifs and whats to rest and get it all, you know, taken care of then. That's just my thoughts.
Well, and I'll just throw this out there too. I've had a couple of constituents come to me and say that they thought Main Street should be for sales tax base, and they didn't mind if they saw the Economic Development Office no longer on Main Street, because that would be, like I said, bringing in sales tax to the community. So just throw that out there too.
And one thing I forgot, it kind of touches on that, is Chamber has been really working for the last 2 years to try to get a project downtown, and they're called incubators. And basically they're like small business offices that people starting up their businesses or maybe trying to grow from a home-based business into a legit business office downtown. It would give them those space, and having them located close to Linda I think would be beneficial, because she knows how to help people. She knows how to find them spaces when they're ready to grow again. She's able to help them kind of get through all the different grants that we have, or different programs they can apply for. And so I think it would help us with our tax base downtown also.
To answer your question, Alicia, I think it would be my goal to eventually be able to house Linda in a property owned by the city. I mean, that would be a goal I would like to look at long term. That's why the 10-year lease is more of an issue.
Yes, Dr. Johnson.
I serve on the TEDCO and the as well, and I just would like to say that I personally do believe that it is a good thing for them to be on Main Street. And I understand that you might want to own it, but 10 years with the clause, if you want them to be able to write one up, I'm sure they would be able to. But also that's a stability too, because you also don't want to be renting something for a year and then they boot you out as well. And then the increase of income all the way, all the time, is like, why have to deal with the increase to start with? And then I would like to just say, not only for the safety matter, when I go in there for meetings, it smells like musty mold, and I end up having to take Benadryl. Now that's not a personal issue and all that stuff, but it's not a healthy environment, not only for safety, but for, I don't know what's in there, but it doesn't smell nice. And you know, I hope they don't feel offended by me saying that, but there's just stuff in there.
I've been there, it smells bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's not, I know it's not coming from Linda.
No, I didn't mean that.
Just an observation, if there's a general thrust that there may be interest in the NBC building, but there's the concern about the exit provision, if NBC could put together one, because I think that the city would need to look at that and bring it to you in such time as you can actually examine it. And then back to Councilmember Booth's thought, which is you've got a new manager coming shortly, you've got a goal-setting session coming shortly, and this might be a good subject for that matter. So,
my wish would be that if we're going to do that, we get it done, because we've already been not doing anything.
Well, at least
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah, because but
The can's
investigated, yeah.
The can's been kicked several times, because we originally made the decision, or our recommendation with the Development Commission, that was November?
It could have been.
last
I don't
fall.
remember, yeah.
But on the other hand, if they have people that want to be in that building, by all means, they should be.
Well, that's sad though, because we could have got something a lot cheaper than at any of the other properties if we're really going to be concerned about what we're paying, and that the Chamber and TEDCO also are paying a third of that. I mean, to think, that's my
Well, then to
thinking.
be fair for the other properties, we need to go back to them and ask them their cost for a 10-year lease.
I think
You
they'd
gotta make
like
it
that,
apples to
yeah.
apples.
I think they would like that.
I'm not gonna.
Because most of them actually would have really liked that. Yeah.
If you're gonna do a 10-year commitment, we
I'll
have
be
to do
happy to
apples
do
to
that.
apples and ask everybody
Yep.
their costs.
Or is there a shorter term that you would like for us to try to negotiate?
We're
And try
probably
to give
looking
you
at a
apples to
month
apples.
before we have a city manager,
Yeah.
minimum.
Well, that'd give me a little bit of time to do some homework though.
I mean, but do you want us to check with each of the properties and see what a 5-year lease would be across the table, or 3 years? I don't know what you're looking at when you're kind of worried about 10. I don't know what a number is more comfortable.
Well, Esbeck did 1, 2, and 5, and Coffin did 2 and 5,
Mhm.
so.
And 1 year, yeah, with Marcia too, with the automatic renewal.
Because
Family
the early
Foods called me today
termination
too,
provision,
so.
they could throw a number out of $5,000, well then, to get out early, and then if you add everything up, you might as well pay $800 a month.
Mhm.
You know, you're locked in yearly. 2% increase.
Well, I'm happy
Well,
to
you
go
make it
back.
apples to apples,
Should I look for a 5-year and a 10-year? Is that what you'd like me to look for with all of them? Okay.
No tens.
Vision.
I say no tens. We don't need 10-year contracts.
So you want,
5
Okay, I'll
years
make-
max.
I guess the
yeah.
system
And
of
early
the
termination.
would be a
As
big
long as
deal.
you know what your termination
Yeah,
Yeah,
penalty is.
early termination would just answer all questions.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
okay, I'll find out what the termination notices with that would be. And then a 5-year and 10 for everybody. Okay.
So we're done with that discussion. I'm going to guess there needs to be a motion to put it back on the table.
I'll make the motion.
Anderson with the first,
Second.
and Leeper with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
Thank you.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Booth, Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so that one goes back onto the table. Thanks for doing all that work, Linda.
Sure.
Thanks for coming. All right, so now to number 3, which is a change order for the pool LED project. There you are. I saw you come in. That's where you sat down. All right.
After you guys approved the LED lights and everything, a lot of stuff, the lovely aquatic center that we have, that it's just, we just had to do a couple other things, and Rock Electric had to come up multiple other times, so this is what the change order amount was. And actually, to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be more than that. So, how many times he came up, and multiple people coming up and looking at it, using the lift that we have to look at stuff. And that's why I put in my little write-up about Rick Achenbach. He came up and he didn't charge us a thing for what he did, the epoxy that we used to
I
put the
just
light.
have to say, this pool's just one surprise after another.
But if you have a chance to go up to look at the lights, they are amazing. They're very, very nice, and I think it's going to save the city a lot. So.
All right. There aren't any questions for Adam. Is there a motion to approve this?
I would, so,
Oh.
and I would be sure they know our appreciation for what
Yeah.
they've done,
Right.
with extra phones.
I'll let them know.
So Boots with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
McNeil,
Yes.
Booth,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
All right. So that passed. Now, you're back up there.
The next one's nice.
The maintenance and repair to the indoor pool circulation.
Brian Brennan and Darren Lenz came up and helped me out with some high-pitched noises, so it's usually bearings. Luckily, the motor that's right beside the recirculation pump is the same exact motor, so we just swapped that out, put an indoor one, and brought the other one down to Tipton Electric, and this is the bid he came back with. This motor has not been serviced for, I think, 4 years. We've been sticking around since 2013. So the impeller is the biggest, as you can tell, the impeller is the biggest cost of that. And I have a picture, if you want to see the picture of what the impeller looked like. This is a pump that runs 365 days a year, 24/7. So it's running constantly. We have to do that. So run for 4 years, and that's really good compared to other people I've talked to. A lot of these recirculating pumps only run like 2 years, maybe 3. We got 4 years out of it. So it's not a total replacement. It's just the impeller and the bearings and all that stuff.
All right.
How long did you say since it's been
4 years.
4 years?
And it's running constantly. So the only time it's shut off is when we change the skimmer basket. And that's usually during the summertime, it's every day, but it's only off for like maybe 5 minutes.
What's the recommendation time for maintenance on it?
there's really no recommended time, really. I mean, that one we probably need to recommend probably a little more, probably every 3 years to service it. The other ones will probably get serviced, we're thinking about doing it this summer, because last time those were serviced, but those only run 3.5 months a year, so we don't.
Maintenance is the key.
The veins just wore out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The veins are just worn out from pumping.
All right, then, is there a motion to approve this? Anderson with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Booth,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear, Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adam. Now, the award for a bid for Cedar Street Water Main Project. The low bidder was Lynch Excavating. Mr. Long?
You have the bid tabulation in your packet, and there were 6 bids. The engineer's estimate was, I don't see it here, was $50-some thousand. The low bid from Lynch Excavating was $44,392. The bids ranged from $84,758, Chig Fry Excavating out of Dubuque, to Lynch at $44,392 from West Branch. And Lynch did provide all the required documentation, bid bond, and certification. So, and the engineer did recommend awarding that to them. And if you have any questions, I think Steve would probably be the better person to ask.
Do you know when it'll happen?
No.
All right. Just whenever they get to it. All right. There are no other questions. Is there a motion to approve this?
I make the motion to approve.
Boots with the first,
Second?
and Spear with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Booth.
Yes.
All right, moving to the next one, which is authorization to solicit quotes for replacement equipment for fiscal year 17-18. Mr. Long?
Thanks, Mayor. This is the list that came out of several discussions with the Equipment Committee. These items have been, funds have been set aside over time for these items, and this request for these 5 pieces of rolling equipment is for an authorization by the City Council to get quotes on these and bring them back to the City Council for consideration. It is not, we're not asking you to let us buy them. We're just telling you we'd like you to get bids. Steve, could you flesh this out a little bit, please?
What we'd really like to do, this is way ahead of the game, like 90 days before the 1st of July. But what we've done in the past is get this equipment in, get demonstrated, get some demos in here for the guys to run, like 3 or 4 different backhoes. And we want to deal with anybody in the county that has this kind of equipment. I think there's like 4 or 5 skid steer vendors that we look at. Now, we're real happy with the Bobcat. It has been, it's been a good machine. But there are other machines out there as well that are more local, so we're going to look at those. So the request tonight is just, can we start looking at this stuff and let the guys operate it and find out what the costs are and which ones do you like? We're firm believers in we want all of our employees to like or accept at least the stuff that we're buying. If they don't like it, that's not a good thing. That's what we tried to do that with the electric department. They kind of spec out their equipment, and it's kind of the right thing to do, I think. And we've got plenty of time to do it right now. Any questions on those numbers? There are ballpark numbers that we had received from a couple different vendors last fall when we went out just to get some basic numbers. I think they're still pretty good. I don't think our backhoe and our skid steer have appreciated that much since then. So,
Just refresh my memory.
Yeah.
The pickup, the Chevrolet, is that just a public works rotation?
that is.
And then the police, the new one, what will happen with the older unit? Are they gonna use that that.
Would you like to respond to that?
Sure.
Chief,
Sure.
I got set back on that one.
Our plan for that would hopefully be to have that become the K-9 vehicle that's because the car is currently a Crown Vic. We really would like to have all three of the vehicles be four-wheel drive. Snow, ice, water.
So then is that additional cost, is that to set it up as a K-9 unit? Or is that for just the radio stuff?
Both.
Yeah, it's all that. And Clay will do that in-house though.
He's done the other ones.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna work on the police vehicle rotation not being back-to-back years, kind of spread it out a little
My
bit.
plan is to then try and go another year, go to another, so we have a gap and then.
Good, thank you.
All right. Any other questions on?
All the equipment that is used, you're gonna be able to purchase on state bid?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's all state bid stuff, and I wanted to, thanks for bringing that up, Ross. The pickups will be state bid pickups, so we buy those locally, of course, through state bid. And we'll get both Chevy and Ford and see where we're at on that. The last time we went out for bids for half-ton and three-quarter, and the three-quarter ton, for whatever reason, came back cheaper than the half-ton. So, I tell you what though, for short guys, I'm going for a half-ton. If you see how tall those three-quarter ton trucks are, even my big guys got to jump up in those. I don't know why they have to be so high, but I know that Brian specifically said if we get a half-ton, he'd like to have that instead of the three-quarter ton that we got. They're great trucks though, but you know. But it's all state bid stuff.
So are we strictly looking at a half-ton, or you're still gonna consider the three-quarter if it's less?
We'll go out with bids for both to see what comes back cheaper and what's a better buy for us. So, yeah.
So what are you looking for in a skid steer other than a Bobcat?
We want to know if the controls in those skid steers, and I'm not a skid steer operator. I've got 4 guys that do wheelies with them if they want, I guess. But they're good operators, and I'm kind of embarrassed to find minutes, so I don't get in it. But we're looking for controls, and we're looking for, obviously all those attachments are interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of attachments. Those stay with the city. We just are trading the unit. So that's the big difference.
Okay, are they interchangeable with different brands?
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost all of them are us. The skid steers out there for a good reason, except the Bobcat attachments. And we've probably got 6 or 8 different attachments that really do a nice job for the city.
My suggestion is you get the Bobcats, different ones that they do skid steers, and let your operators tell you which one they like the best. They're the ones that are going to be using them. They're the ones that need to be familiar with them.
That's always our approach to that kind of thing, unless it's a huge cost difference or something. But I have great guys in Public Works, and I want them to feel good about the equipment they're using.
They're the ones that should have.
Questions? Any more? Thank you.
So is there a motion to approve the authorization to solicit quotes?
So moved.
Lieber with the first and McNeil with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Okay, now to approval of an amended job description for the park grounds maintenance worker.
I'll take that, Mayor.
All right.
In preparing the budget document this year, we determined that the arrangement we had for the person who maintained the park grounds, we couldn't sustain because it was set up on a salary basis. The position doesn't merit salary, so we needed to revisit the whole question of how that got done. In a conversation with Adam and with Steve Nash, determined that, and the library determined that we could utilize a person on a full-time basis and handle not only the park, but all the other walks and grass areas that are the responsibility of the city. and take care of that instead of utilizing either, in the library's instance, contract work or for those bits of yard and walk around city buildings, utilizing much more expensive and critical staff to do those things. So we developed this job description that would be a full-time position and would be a permanent status. We think that this will provide a good quality of service, better utilization of other forces, and at a relatively comparable cost to what we're doing now. So this was developed with Park and Rec Department, Public Works Department, and City Hall staff, and we're bringing it here for your consideration.
I'm a little bit confused, because when we talked about the new budget year, we had said no new employees. And this appears to be a new employee position. So what's that doing to our budget?
It's adding about a quarter of a person. In fact, the cost would be allocated between the various departments. And, you know, again, it was an unfortunate, I guess, determination that we couldn't continue in the same staffing manner that we had done. We simply could not. So this came together fairly recently. I have no other.
There was an elimination.
Yes, we really are eliminating a person that was salaried at $25,000 a year in round numbers, and restructuring it in this fashion.
So we're eliminating that 20-some thousand. What are we bringing on with this position?
Well, I don't remember what we calculated. It was in
It would fall into this salary rate this
the
year.
U4.
It was 18, right around $18 an hour.
So somewhere in there, about $36,000 a year.
It's the low end of the U4.
But also including benefits. So it's much
It'd
more
be
than
full-time.
It would add, yeah, that person would have benefits. The person that we could no longer maintain had benefits.
that. She did.
She did. So those things remain equal, the benefits cost, in particular the health insurance.
What would this individual be doing in the winter time then?
This individual could also do street clearing work in the wintertime, plowing, salting, other operations like that, and we would utilize them across all departments, frankly.
Right
So-
now, the snow removal around City Hall and city properties is done by the electric department. So this person would take over that line of, or that area of work when we have snow removal, along with the libraries.
So they do all spraying too. So they'd have to have their
Yes.
license for that
Have
and
to be certified to
CDL.
spray.
Yes.
So we have to pay for those certifications too.
It's not real difficult, it's
That's
just a fee.
minor.
They read the books, and then I think it's like $75 to test, and then it's a annual renewal fee. And Adam is working on getting his certification too.
If I could just throw some things in here, when we sat down last Friday to kind of talk about what the possibilities were on something like that, as far as utilizing that type of an individual, I can see that, obviously, this position would be similar, the first most important part of it would be continuing in the park at the level of service and upkeep that we're used to up there. Not only mowing, but also the bathrooms and the shelter houses and upkeep on that as well. In the off-season, that's a good question. That's where I think we come in as a public works department. I think we designate that this is a CDL position. If you've got spraying certification, which I know an individual that does have that, we take that over. We take over the library. mowing that in that contract, and that's up the 1st of July. In the wintertime, if you have a CDL, we don't even currently have enough people to haul snow, and I'm really tickled that we didn't have to haul snow out downtown a couple times, because we really, well, we go to the gas market departments for truck drivers, but being down some people in, like a person and a half anyway in public works, we can certainly utilize a person that could also, not only with the snow, but we've still got mapping at the cemetery. We've got to do a lot of location with our GIS system, that with our C-City program, that I can see that would be a big plus. This person, in my world, in our world, in public works, could also be instructed on how to do the locates. I see a lot of ways to utilize a half-time person just in the off-season when we're not mowing grass and taking care of outside stuff. The other thing I happen to think of, I've been planting trees by myself for the last 5 years. And if I had another person to help me plant and water trees, I think that's something that I need to train somebody to do. I might not be here forever. Then again, I might, I don't know. So any questions on that? I see a lot of potential for a half-time person in public works, keeping that person busy. Especially since I've got a couple of guys that are really doing a lot of water, wastewater stuff. It's just, I've lost my 2 most experienced guys, basically, most of the time. And I think for a very good reason for the city of Tipton. So.
Now that Steve has brought this up, I know it's not directly related, but my frustration right now with this is a new position. We're considering paying it extra. A few months ago, we were debating taking on the water, and we did it, and we were going to save all this money. But to do that, we had to have 2 certified operators. We now have 2 certified operators, but that second certified operator has got no compensation for getting those certifications. We're going to consider this, but not him.
That needs to be addressed, and
So-
Kim and I have talked about that, and Eldon has as well. And
So I hesitate to put a new position on and pay them extra when we're not paying who we have now and taking care of those positions.
Yeah, we're working that direction for sure. And thank you, Ann, for that comment. But we're certainly, there's been a lot of irons in the fire here. So, but I appreciate your support on that. Any other questions on this situation? Keep in mind, a lot of this, since we're eliminating a $25,000 or $6,000 position, and we're eliminating a $3,000 contract at the library, and we're utilizing an $18 an hour individual versus a $25 or $30 individual for doing some things, it does make sense. And it would certainly help us out in the off-season. I would really like to see us get finished up with our mapping and all that in the next year, so that's high on our priority too.
Yes.
I'm speaking as a lawn care business guy. What are you gonna do if you have three rain days in a row? Is this person gonna work Saturday and Sundays? Do they know that's in their job description?
Like
if it rains Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
If she can't mow?
If she can't mow, or who? I mean, is this job gonna be in the paper?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
what?
it has to be posted.
It's gotta be posted, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. So what are you gonna do if it's rain days?
Hey.
Does she go to work for you?
In my mind.
So then she's gonna get paid overtime for Saturday and Sunday to make up the mowing?
No.
Well, who's gonna mow?
In my mind, this is rain days, or we work it just like if it's rain days in public works. This is full-time employed. We don't go home.
I'm not causing any problems here, I'm just looking at my point of view, you know.
Oh, and that's a good point.
I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, okay, she's got 40 hours, and 3 of those days were rain days, who's gonna mow? The grass is gonna grow. How's she gonna mow all that? That's a lot of mowing.
Yeah, right. That's
I'm looking, I mow the library, and I got 22 people that live in this town that I employ. And if I lose that library, I'm probably gonna have to get rid of 2 people. I'm just being honest, you know?
I hear his point. But I guess, I don't know how we got there here either. I mean, there was a discussion at one point at budget time that we weren't gonna have new hires. This feels like it's sort of a kind of coming in through the back door. I mean, we approved a job description, we have a full-time employee.
Let me explain a bit of how we got here, as much as I can.
Okay. I guess I just question, is it such a thing that we could not maintain that position at the part-time level anymore?
We could not maintain that position as a salaried, paid through the year position for a person who was working part-time. That's not possible. And it took some sorting out with the city attorney to make that clear so that we weren't wandering off into the weeds on the way we're employing people again. That's where this came from. And
so you can't have part-time employees? You
can't have part-time employees, you can't have them salaried through the year.
So it would have to be hourly, and then they wouldn't receive benefits, is that?
Right. And
so what if we chose to give benefits and do hourly? What if we chose that?
If they're gonna be full-time, they'd have to have.
If they're over 30 hours, they
right,
have to have.
I'm not saying that they need to go to this full-time. I didn't.
I mean, the question is, if they're over 30 hours, then they have to receive benefits.
Our initial thought was, and not mine, but coming back from Adam and Park, and that we would try to get some university students, for example, during the summertime for, probably $15 an hour, and they could mow. That's fine, but you remember about 3 years ago when our current individual took care of the park, was out with health reasons, and we tried to do that. We got, and the bathrooms and the shelter houses weren't taken care of, and we got a lot of complaints from a lot of people on how things looked, and not only that, how things were taken care of, other than the mowing. Right now, currently, I think we have an individual there that does an excellent job. I hate to lose people that do an excellent job. And a few years ago, some of you remember this, when we put the low bidder got the cemetery. That was a nightmare. And I just think that in this situation, if we can make something work where we already need somebody else anyway, which I currently I can plug that a little bit.
Well, I think that's
I think it's a win-win. I think we continue with our good quality maintenance and upkeep of the park. At the same time, utilize that individual in other ways that are still a need for the city that have not been met. And I know, Leanne, I know that we talked about no new hires, and I was fine with that. In fact, we'll survive. But I hate to see that park go downhill. And I think that there could be a real strong potential for that to happen.
So there's been a lot thrown around here, just so I'm clear. We're doing this for a full-time position to keep the park, because we can no longer have that as a
salaried temporary position.
Okay.
But you could do part-time hourly?
You can do part-time hourly.
And how would we do that? Go out for contract?
No,
Or
it would have to be an application. It would be a job description, and it would be posted as a part-time job, so much per hour.
But then that wouldn't utilize the different things for public works.
And it would just be a
And we're still scrambling for someone's certification to spray.
And
we could do that.
Who's spraying now?
Well, currently it's commercial sprayers, but since we have someone that is certified, we're doing it in-house with that.
Do we have the equipment?
Last year we did buy a sprayer. And we were hoping to get that integrated last year, but there wasn't enough time to do everything. that's our direction this year. Any other? This is this whole thing is, it's Monday and we just kind of sorted this out last Friday morning.
So, yeah, we also do have the option to table it if we need to.
Table it?
Yeah.
You know, the thing about hiring a part-time, let's say at $15 an hour, university student, which was kind of suggested, they come in to the picture here about maybe the first week in May when school's out, or the second week, and guess what? They go back to school about the middle of August, and we don't finish mowing until sometime in October. So it's more than just a summer job. It's more like a 5 to 6 month job, depending on the weather, of course. Last year it rained all during August, and there were some issues with trying to keep up with it. Those are just my thoughts.
So basically, if we went the hourly, the current person would just lose their benefits.
Under 30 hours, yeah.
Right.
They would have to average 30 hours throughout the entire year to get salary.
No.
To get
benefits. To get benefits, sorry, to get benefits, yes.
All right, so I'm guessing that this wants to be tabled. Is there a motion to table it?
So moved.
Lieber with the first,
A second.
and Spear with the second.
Lieber.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so that has been tabled, and now to the last motion for approval, which is, second to last, sorry. Minor subdivision, consideration of approval for the minor subdivision. Mr. Long?
Thank you, Mayor. Amazing, this is the second one in 2 weeks that's popped up. This is a request for a minor subdivision, creating a plat that's 75 by 125 feet from a larger lot, and it's near the intersection of East Street and East 6th Street. The city code does not specifically provide for administrative approval for minor subdivisions, so we're bringing this to you for council approval. This is different than a subdivision wherein you take a large plat of land and create 10 lots to build houses on. This is an existing large lot. It creates that requires no new right-of-way, no new infrastructure. It's just subdividing a smaller part off, and there is a copy of the plat in your packet. Just FYI, I also see that the city code does not appear to limit the number of times you can re-subdivide a given parcel. And that's probably something to look at in your subdivision code, because I've had the experience where someone will do a minor subdivision of a plot 6, 7, and 8 times until you sort of created a subdivision without a master plan, and it tends to get messy. So it's something to consider, but in this case, it doesn't appear to create any harm or foul for the existing neighborhood or lot. So I'm bringing it to you for your consideration.
Are there any restrictions on what that lot can be used for?
It's residential.
Residential.
And the zoning remains, the underlying zoning remains the same.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on this?
So moved.
To approve Mr. Lieber has made a motion to approve this minor subdivision.
Second.
And Anderson with the second?
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
Lieber.
Yes.
All right, so that has been approved, and this is the only time we have to approve it, correct?
That's right. We're done.
All right, so then the last motion for approval is the appointment of Floyd Tabor and alternate John Walsh to the I Am Wind Board. Mr. Long?
Sure.
Well, he'd be alternate, yes.
This board is a board representing a number of municipalities, Iowa municipal electric municipalities, that we're endeavoring to create a wind farm of some sort, and the city of Tipton and the other cities are required to approve any changes in that understanding. There's currently process to release that wind farm back to the owner or to resell it as the project didn't pan out. But there needs to be representation from the city for them to be able to move forward on that project.
All right, is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Boots with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
All right, so that has been approved. And now down to discussion items, which is the clarification of setting off emergency warning sirens.
This was a question I think came
Yes,
from-
I asked to have this put on, and the reason was the statewide tornado drill last week. At the courthouse, we participated and thought we had everything all mapped out, and then all of a sudden the city siren went off and threw all of us really at the courthouse. So I guess I would just like to work in conjunction with the city, find out the city's plan for tornado, so that I can incorporate that into our courthouse one. Because when the siren went off, everyone went to the basement. Now, I was taught that the siren went off was a fire siren, not a tornado siren. I was also taught that tornado is outdoor warning, not indoor. But when you've got 60% of your courthouse going to the basement because of sirens going off, what do you do? So I want to work with the city and try and get that straightened out.
I
So we don't
understand.
have confusion if a real event happens.
Absolutely, and I understand that the city and the county did adopt the same plan, and I think there was a mix-up. And I heard about that much.
Okay, and that's fine, I guess if we can get some clarification into what the city's gonna do in the event of an actual tornado. Like I said, I'll incorporate that into the county one, so we know.
All right. So moving on to the reports, I have nothing new to report this 2 weeks. Council reports, committee reports, city manager report.
Working on, really working on the file system that's in the city manager's office, so that we leave that in a good fashion for the next person. And one of the things that Councilmember Boots brought up, which is job descriptions, and there are several of them, in addition to the one that we brought in front of you this evening, need addressing. Getting some breathing space here over the last couple of weeks, and having formatted one, it will not be all that hard to follow up with the assistant, the person who assists with certification and is certified, and work on that. And there's two others that that need to be revisited as well. So that will be a project. Something that I have not been able to get to all winter is the engineering RFPs to begin to address the issues in the pool. And that's something that Adam and I have talked about since last summer. That's something I can pick up over the next month and begin to get something put together for you. And it's hard to believe how fast this year has gone, and I've had truly a great time, and I'm glad to have been here. So I'll work it up to the last and get everything done we can. That's all I have, Mayor.
Department heads. All right, is there a motion for adjournment?
Brian.
Oh, wait, there you are. You can stand up for
This isn't anything you have to do, but this person is coming to our town tomorrow. He's actually already here today. He puts on a wonderful program, and he will be at the schools all during the day. He will be at the city library, and pass them around. He's a national speaker. He goes into schools. He's traveling to 56 different countries. The one thing that I like, if you look on the flyer, it talks about to understand the benefits of creating a strong community. And I think that's what one of our main goals has been. Doesn't matter what department you're in. It's about creating a really strong community and having dreams, living your dreams to the fullest. I went to college with him. And he was one of the reasons that I joined the Student Senate. He was a Student Senate president, I was a Student Senator for 2 years. He's just a dynamic person. And so, of course, I referred him, and he gave me 2 of the books. But one is a kid's book, and then one is just the pictures. He's a photographer, he's a writer, he's an adventurer, he's a speaker, and he's coming to Tipton tomorrow. And he will be at the library at 5 o'clock. It's free. So it talks about building strong communities and encouraging and embracing your community and encouraging your kids to dream big and do that. So that was all I have.
All right, thank you, Chief Kemper. Is there a motion for adjournment? Booth is first, and McNeil, or Lieber with the second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right.